Folks, we are recording. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for the 11 ways to lose sales on Amazon, something everyone aspires to. We're going to figure out how to reverse whatever issues you guys have to show a big picture in terms of how you can start to develop those monster sales that you want from Amazon. Quick 2 seconds about Exclusive Concepts. We've been around for almost 20 years now. Since 2008, we've been on Inc. 5000, growing very steadily. Grateful to our clients for sticking with us for so long and helping us grow at that tick. We have 6 core service teams. The service team that's being represented today is the Amazon Marketplace service team. We have over 200 clients across the spectrum. We focus on best performance. It's a weird concept, but for us, performance has always meant profitability. Our online retail clients want us to do marketing that helps them increase their cash influx, cash impact. And that is the metric that guides all of our activities across all of our channels. And because we're so singularly focused on that, we've been able to achieve that in spades. We are full service. Whatever your marketing needs as a company are, website, marketplace, etc. We work together on one holistic custom strategy. We have over 100 employees, and we're headquartered right in Burlington, Massachusetts, outside of Boston. That's it for about us. Let's get right into this. We're going to try to give you guys a framework in terms of how your Amazon products that you have right now, each and every product that you have in Amazon, could potentially become a superstar and have a lot of momentum. And these are techniques that we brought together over the course of the last year, and we've seen that they have a compounding impact on each other. For starters, a product that is not getting very good visibility can use sponsored ads to develop some paid momentum, paid visibility. When sales start to happen from that, there's a marker that happens on the SEO side within Amazon. Amazon SEO, ranking organically within Amazon itself. That marker is called sales velocity. But you can optimize to take advantage of that sales velocity. We'll explain all this. And once you start to get all this new traffic to your product from sponsored ads and from organic optimization, then you want to focus on your product listing page and do whatever you possibly can to increase the conversion rate on that page, because that's going to make everything a little better. The pressure on your cost per click goes down a little. Your revenue and profit goes up. So let's recap that kind of step-by-step, frame-by-frame here. Imagine you have a product. Think of any product that you sell right now. And if you search for its main term and you go through the organic listings in Amazon, right now you're ranking on page 4. You know that not a lot of people are going to actually find you on page 4, right? And if they do, they're probably not very serious about buying. So that's where you are right now. The first thing you want to do is tell Amazon, you know what, I believe so much in my product that I'm willing to pay to have it show up alongside all the top sellers that are organically showing right now. I want it to be a candidate. And if it is a candidate, I believe it's going to do exceptionally well. And as soon as you start making sales off of those clicks, they're pretty cheap clicks, you start to calculate some sales velocity. Sales velocity is how many sales you made over a certain time. Now, this is an organic factor, and this is how it works. If your product is optimized for a particular keyword, and there are all these other products optimized for that keyword as well, organically. This is not sponsored ads anymore. Now we're talking about the organic impact. If your product is optimized for a keyword and a lot of other products are optimized for the same keyword, then Amazon is going to show all those products, but sort by whichever one of the products that has relevance to that keyword that has had the most sales within a certain period of time. Why? Because Amazon wants people to buy. So because you are the hot seller of the moment and you're relevant to that keyword, you're going to be given the highest position. What you want to do is take advantage of that as much as possible. Right? You're going to show up organically for whatever keyword you have relevance to. You want to go on the back end of your product listing and tell Amazon, if you're going to put us in contest for ranking sorted by sales velocity for some keywords, don't just choose the keywords that we've already told you about. We want to tell you some more keywords that we think we should show up for. And Amazon gives you up to 5,000 characters worth of opportunity for you to tell them what keywords you think your product should be in the running for to be sorted by sales velocity. The 5,000 characters comes out to about 1,200 words. And you're telling Amazon, please put me in the running for these 1,200 words organically. And if you have the sales velocity off the back of sponsored ads, then you're going to actually get all those organic listings, and you're going to start making free organic sales as well. Now that you're getting all those organic visits from those 1,200 keywords, plus you're getting those page visits, you want to look at the page that people are being brought to, your product listing ad that people are, or your product listing that people are being brought to. And you want to think about whether or not the experience is good enough. What we find is that most people have not done a good enough job with their product listing. Have you been reading the reviews to understand why people even like your product? Do you really understand the unique value of the product, what needs you're meeting, what use cases you provide, what emotional connection you have with people? If you haven't brought that into the page, then all your efforts to drive a lot of traffic to that page are going to bear lower results. When you do write better content, we measure about a minimum of a 10% boost in conversion rates. You can see when all this comes together, when you have new sales and traffic from paid, new sales and traffic from organic, improved sales conversion rate on the page that is funneling all this traffic, your product goes from that one moment of obscurity where it wasn't showing up at all to now being a superstar. So this high-level framework that we've introduced right now brings us to our first 3 ways in which people are not taking advantage of Amazon, in which they're losing sales opportunities. Those products that are showing up on page 4 are losing every single day in terms of what kind of sales could happen. So number 1, if you're not doing sponsored ads, you're not telling Amazon that your products are contenders for these keywords and that you want to start showing up alongside other top sellers to make paid sales. If you are making sales velocity but you're not giving Amazon 1,200 keywords to think about, then you're not taking advantage of the SEO boost that you could get from that sales velocity. And if you're not optimizing the descriptions to remove the final barrier on conversion, you're not optimizing your product listing, then you are not taking advantage of the true conversion potential of all that traffic that you're driving to your product page. And once again, number 1, number 2, and number 3 all work together, and they maximize sales only when they're used in conjunction. We're going to do this a few times during this presentation, but this will be our first go. We're going to be doing a free Amazon analysis for people who are watching this presentation and want to have a better sense of, with sponsored ads, with that organic optimization, those 5,000 keywords, and with writing content. Not only are you a good fit for any of those techniques, but so much more specifically, out of all the products that you sell, out of the 2,000 products you sell, what are the 50 or 100 products that are perfect for sponsored ads? Or perfect for sponsored ads at an aggressive fit? We're going to learn about all these concepts today so that you can have a tiered bidding structure. What about for writing content? What products already have enough sales velocity that you should start writing content right now so that you can get the organic boost? Which pages already have enough traffic and you win the buy box often enough that you should start doing content for it to increase your conversion rates? This analysis that we're doing is a free analysis, guys. So all you have to do is go to the questions box, look at your GoToWebinar, panel where it says questions. Go in there, and you can just type in something like free Amazon analysis. And we're going to reach out to you. We're going to set up a time for us to meet together and take the actual data from your back end of Amazon and see where there is scope for all these different techniques, and then we can map to them. All right, we're going to start talking about each of these three different parts: paid momentum, organic, and improved conversion in depth now. I'm going to pass it to Logan to start talking about sponsored ads.
All right, thank you very much, Nick. So yeah, let's start with sponsored products, the main crux of the paid momentum piece of this framework. So what we're going to talk about with sponsored ads is what they are, why you should be doing them, and what our methodology here is at Exclusive Concepts to get really exceptional results. So we'll start first with what they are. Sponsored products, we kind of alluded to it before. They are sponsored ads that you can pay for on Amazon to have your listing be shown at the top of the organic listings and also on the right-hand sidebar. So this is, as you all might imagine, a very valuable way to get visibility for your product and start to build that sales velocity that Nick was talking about. So these ads are built on a cost per click model. So oftentimes, like Google, you will see that a higher cost per click will allow you to win more options for more general keywords. And keywords that have a lower cost per click, you might be eligible for fewer options or more specific long-tailed keywords. So Nolan, I know that these ads are also showing up not only on desktop, but on mobile as well.
For sure, yeah. I mean, the screenshot here is showing obviously a desktop results, but it's really important if you do the same search on your mobile phone, you're going to see it kind of scattered, sprinkled in right in the results. And even right here, the word sponsored, you can see is really, really small on that side rail. It's pretty equally small when you're looking at it on mobile. And then another really important part where they appear is also kind of almost looking like related products on a page. So it's all different instances where you can get initial traffic to your site, and any traffic on Amazon is a good chance to sell. I mean, you see some pretty remarkable conversion rates. 10% is pretty common on sponsored products.
Yeah, absolutely. So that brings us to the next slide about why we want to use sponsored products. So the biggest thing that sponsored products allows us to do is it allows us to gain visibility without significantly sacrificing your margins or slashing your prices. It used to be to rocket to the first page of search results, you would have to basically give away products or have them discounted so heavily that you would appear above all of your competitors. So now there's this alternate way to do this, to get visibility on the first page of Amazon. You can do it through sponsored products with relatively cheap clicks and start to really build that sales velocity. So another reason why you want to do sponsored products is, let's say you do have some dominance on the first page and you've been an Amazon seller for a while, you've built up a great sales velocity and organic presence. Well, you want to use sponsored products to play defense. You want to keep the other sellers from unseating your position of dominance, from getting in there with sponsored ads to, kind of have an in. And, you see here there's a picture of the three of us playing volleyball here last weekend. I felt like this kind of really symbolizes the defensive play that you want to use if you're a more seasoned Amazon seller.
Yeah, I mean, there really can. I mean, a lot of people are kind of saying that I feel like they missed the boat to kind of take advantage of the Amazon marketplace, but really this is kind of Amazon kind of signaling another shot to get in there. So it's a really common thing. Hey, it's already too late. There's already a seller there. They already have a product that's got 4.5 stars. It's got 40 reviews. This is a chance to kind of get positioned right next to them. So again, you could either be that kind of new to the game seller there that's trying to kind of battle for that spot, or if you are that seller that's got the 40 reviews and the 4.5 star ranking there, I mean, this is a chance to kind of keep other people away from it, make it a position that you kind of hold that dominance and you kind of shield the market share you've created.
Absolutely. And then again, another reason is that really almost every product is a good target for sponsored products. They'll just need a different approach based on the behaviors of the market. So any product that wins the buy box at least some of the time is eligible for sponsored products. So if you sell a lot of products on Amazon, almost all of them are going to be winning the buy box at least some of the time. You have a huge opportunity to gain some sales velocity on all of those products And as Nick alluded to before, we have an audit that will uncover which ones have the highest potential to gain that sales velocity the fastest.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely some, I don't know, go Nick.
No, I was just going to emphasize here, because this is something that has been coming up in conversation a lot with the people who are doing Amazon. You win the buy box a certain percentage of time for your product. Amazon has already determined whether or not you won the buy box before someone even clicked on the product, meaning when someone searched for a product and your product showed up that you have some buy box percentage win on, Amazon already determined before they even clicked on that product, just when you're showing in the search results, whether or not you're going to own that buy box if someone actually clicks on the product. And they need to determine that in advance, because if you have won the buy box in that instance, that is the only time that you are allowed to do a sponsored ad as well. You can only have a sponsored ad paid for in the moment that you are going to be the one who won buy box. You will never pay for a sponsored ad when one of your competitors has won the buy box for the same product. So even if you win 5% of the time, it's fine. It means you have 5% opportunity to sponsor that product, and every time you'll be in the buy box when someone clicks.
Yeah, Nick, I was going to say the exact same thing. I think it's just a really important emphasis point that, because it is, I mean, there's this point of time, if you have 5% buy box win percentage, that you kind of want to maximize, you want to get as many visitors to that page during that period of time as possible. So it can be a way to definitely drive some meaningful lists for products you're already selling.
Absolutely. So here's an interesting one, and yet another reason to do sponsored products is that you've all probably done searches on Amazon where there are ads that come up, sponsored ads, that aren't really relevant to the search that you've done. And to us, this is a huge signal that sponsored products is actually a really immature market. People are being non-strategic about the keywords they're targeting and about the ways that they're building their ad campaigns. So here's an example. I don't know if you can see it, but we did a search for shoe tabs, which are like little protective tabs that you can put on the heel of your shoe. And what came up in the sponsored results on the right-hand side, but an adult diaper product from Depends that has the word tab in it. So it just shows you that, you know, something like this this company is putting broad match keywords in, which we'll get to in a moment, but they're throwing these ads up in a very non-strategic way, which means that there's plenty of room for people who know what they're doing, for people who are thinking about the approach and doing it in an intelligent way to come in and seriously disrupt this market and take market share.
It also does a really good job here of demonstrating kind of the main differences of how the algorithm on Google works and how it's different than on Amazon. I mean, Google is intelligent enough to take two words and see them as like a key phrase, where on Amazon it's really just pieced out keywords. So yes, the word tabs are in both instances. You can even see it in organic rankings too. So that product's probably selling a lot, and then the three main factors that Amazon's kind of going off of, the big one there is sales velocity, like Nick was talking about there. So they're trying to give products that are selling a lot, and they've been selling a lot recently. Yes, there is some component of relevancy, but they're kind of deeming relevancy just on how many of the words matched up, and not necessarily did those two words match up in succession there. And then the third option where it applies only to sponsored products is the bid aggressiveness. So you can also say, okay, maybe we don't have the most sales velocity right now, or maybe they haven't quite deemed us all that relevant, but we're going to be really aggressive and try to start ranking for some of these words that we aren't. So that was just kind of, I think, a good opportunity to talk about how the algorithms work quite differently. And Amazon, again, being very immature.
Absolutely. And then to me, that brings us to our final reason of why you should use sponsored products, which I actually think is the biggest reason, is that there's a huge opportunity for growth, not only from the paid sales that you're getting on sponsored products, but we find that across the board, once we start to get sales velocity from paid ads on Amazon, we start to see these organic lifts for these products very quickly thereafter. So the immediate goal is to maybe make a little bit of money on sponsored products, or hey, maybe you even just break even on your sponsored product ad spend. the bigger long-term goal and kind of the pot at the end of the rainbow is getting that huge organic bump, which we've seen happen with all of our clients, and it's really quite a thing to behold.
I mean, this was kind of our big takeaway from our last webinar. We want people to know that, okay, there is this direct correlation between kind of paying for some additional prominence, additional visibility, additional discoverability through sponsored products, and then with the additional sales you get from that, you've now kind of triggered Amazon, hey, this product sells faster than it was before. This product sells faster than the other products that it was currently ranking for on page 4. It should be on page 3. And then again, you can now be outselling the rankings on page 3 and go to 2, and that really can kind of fuel the growth right to a number 1 ranking on Amazon.
Yeah, absolutely. And that brings us to the fourth way that you're losing sales on Amazon is that Amazon's been coming out with a lot of new features. And one of the big things that we see merchants not taking advantage of is using the appropriate match types and negative keywords in sponsored ads.
And this is something that's somewhat recent. I mean, it was back in, I think it was November, that they introduced these match types. And this was when we realized this is something that's going to be right in our wheelhouse. I mean, this is Nolan, I'm the Google Shopping specialist, who kind of one of the first ones to get involved in these campaigns, and we realized that these same match types that we've been doing for text ads and Google Shopping in terms of adding lots of negatives to kind of get the right search to match with the right product, we now kind of have some tools available to us to really take kind of our methodology and apply it here and really hit it out of the park. So, I mean, negatives have been a big one where if you can kind of save some money on certain areas of your spend, it lets you be more aggressive on those parts that have been doing really well.
Guys, we have a quick question. I'm going to make sure, I want to clarify just in case this is not clear. So, Nancy, great question. Please explain again why we should pay for sponsored ads when there are lots of other sellers for the same item. How do we know we will get the sale? Well, the person who owns the buy box typically gets the sale. That's something that we've been able to standardize as a rule pretty much across the spectrum. If you've won the buy box, then your likelihood of getting the sale is nearly 100%. So you can only do a sponsored ad in the moment that you've won the buy box. So every time you pay for a click to that product, your risk of having that person buy from one of your competitors is very low compared to the probability that you're actually going to close that deal for yourself. Back to you, Logan.
Yeah, okay, so yeah, exactly. So if we go to the next slide, actually, so we see, basically we're talking about these keyword match types. This is a way for you to be strategic as an Amazon advertiser. This is a way for you to be a cut above all the other advertisers that are there just using broad match. They're not using any negative keywords. If I'm selling Depends, diapers, I'm going to take the word shoe and add it as a negative because I see my product coming up for a term of shoe tabs. So the whole point here is that as Amazon is releasing these new features, it's really becoming a lot more like Google AdWords. So you really need kind of expertise that you would have managing Google AdWords, keyword-based campaigns, and Google Shopping campaigns to most effectively manage these Amazon-sponsored products campaigns.
Yep. Before we get to the next slide, Kopang, great question. What is considered winning the buy box? And this is a point of a lot of confusion. So let's say someone searches for iPhone accessories in Amazon and a bunch of results pop up. And the first result is, position number 1. Is that winning the buy box? No. That's not winning the buy box. That's ranking. That's a product ranking for a keyword. It's not winning the buy box. If someone clicks on that product and is now looking at the product and they're staring right at the add to cart button, Amazon is going to choose that if someone adds to cart and buys, that one of the resellers who sells that particular product is going to fulfill that order. And if they chose you as being the one who's going to fulfill the order, that means you won the buy box. And you can win the buy box through many different parameters. Often it's because you have the lowest total price between your price and shipping. Sometimes it's because you have more stock than anyone else who's selling the product. It might be because your seller rating is higher. And there's also a system of randomization in there as well. But that's winning the buy box. It means you are going to fulfill that order on behalf of Amazon. So let's get back to the points that Logan just made about match types, negative keywords, and keep in mind Nolan's points as well about how important negative keywords are in the analogy to the AdWords side. So this is a big proponent for anyone who's on Amazon who wants to start seeing more sales from Amazon, wants to jumpstart their Amazon sales. So what we want to do is ask you guys a question on this side. What are you guys using, if anything, when it comes to these different options in sponsored ads? Are you creating manual campaigns? Are you doing automated campaigns? Are you setting keyword match types for your products? Have you set negative keywords? Are you doing A/B testing to see which product should show up for which keyword? We're going to get a distribution here in terms of which techniques are being most utilized. And give us about 5 more seconds. And I see that a lot of people are not voting, and that's because we didn't put a I don't use anything option up there. So right now, about 27% of people are able to give some answer. They're using some form. So let's close this out and share this with everyone. Look at these results. Okay? So the vast majority of you who are doing sponsored ads are using some form of manual campaigns and then automated campaigns. Keyword match types is becoming a nice favorite. Not a lot of negative keyword usage, and strong underutilization in terms of A/B testing of which product should show up for which keyword. This is good. This helps us emphasize certain areas. So thank you guys for sharing. Want to mention that this is something that we do take care of for all of you. Any one of you who's selling on Amazon or wants to sell on Amazon, sponsored ads is something that needs to be done in a way where you don't have your product showing up for the wrong keywords. You are choosing keywords the right way. You're choosing your match types. You're choosing your negatives. You're able to really broaden and expand your approach, but also surgically make improvements on efficiency. For $5.99 plus 12% of spend, your sponsored ad spend per month, we do this for clients. Tiered bidding, we're going to talk about how we use different bidding approaches for your top sellers versus bottom sellers, etc. Find a balance between manual and automated campaigns, because you do want to use both types, but in different ways for different reasons. Optimization of which keywords you want to go after, match types, negatives, ongoing A/B testing of product to keyword, and reporting. What we're going to do really quickly is offer a poll to expedite the process here for anyone who is interested in having us help out with sponsored ads. So we're not going to share these results, but we are going to follow up accordingly. How strong would you like to have us manage your sponsored ads for your business at the rate of $5.95 plus 12% of spend per month? Okay, I'm going to give a few more moments for people to make their choices, and thank you guys for helping with this. This is very clear, very helpful. We're reaching out to people who are asking for the proposals and for the meetings. Okay, closing in 3, 2, 1. Perfect. Okay, sponsored ads methodology. What do we do to take advantage of sponsored ads?
Right, so that brings us to, I believe, the number 5 thing that we say that people are doing that they may lose them sales on Amazon. And it's not using manual and automatic campaigns in a very tactical or very strategic way. So there's two different campaign types, and you need to use a mix of both in order to maximize your results in sponsored products. So Nolan, I'm going to have you explain to us here on the next slide the difference between the two campaigns and what they're both, how they're both used and what the pros and cons of each are.
Sure. So the automatic campaigns are ones where you're kind of relying on Amazon to match your products up to searches that they've deemed relevant. And again, that's where, so using the Depends example there, just because the word tab is in your title, you're now kind of eligible for searches that are now for tabs. So there can be obviously some chances where you're going to see some very irrelevant words, but it can also be a great way to find opportunities that you hadn't considered. And probably as a whole, that weighs it. Probably that campaign for that Depends diaper is a really profitable one overall, but doesn't mean there isn't money to be saved and kind of further allocated on other areas there. And then the manual campaigns where you kind of start to take some of that mind search terms, and you say, okay, this is the word shoe tabs. We want to take it. If the search contains the word shoe tab exactly, you do the exact match. If it's shoe tabs where it's brown shoe tabs, black shoe tabs for high heels, whatever it is, you can create a phrase match campaign, and then you can do a broad match word campaign where it contains the word shoe and the word tab is kind of really the way it works there. Amazon isn't doing too much with synonyms. Like, Google's broad match has gotten extremely broad. But yeah, so there's still very strategic places where you can kind of utilize the power of the automatic ones to kind of cast the net throughout the entirety of the account and kind of have a more modest bid and find some winners you hadn't considered, and then you kind of take that data and you kind of build out some manual campaigns for important products, and that's something you kind of continue on through, and that's something that's for perpetuity, you kind of do that process there.
Yeah, I agree, and the next slide shows kind of what that structure might look like, and we have these automatic campaigns that you can set at a relatively low bid. They are the campaigns that you use for data collection. They're campaigns that you're getting the search query data from. So let's see, are we having trouble with the visuals here, Nick?
I think it goes in piece by piece here.
Okay.
So yeah, the way you can look at it is we have like the high volume per visit. So these are the ones that they convert at a really high rate. So we're kind of looking at these are kind of some manual, really competitive words. So if you are in fact selling shoe tabs and you know that anyone on Amazon that searches the word shoe tabs, we're going to go after that really aggressively. Is that correct, Nick, in terms of how you kind of arrange this one?
Sure. So I'll jump right in here, guys. So if you have a product that has high volume, where you actually have a lot of statistical validity to it, what we've been typically doing is setting manual campaigns where we are choosing our keywords and we're being competitive. So as long as we know statistically that this is a great selling product, the stats, the metrics are fantastic, plus there's validity, that's when we have some substance to work with to do manual campaigns. There's also low volume products out there that have other indicators. There's inferred indicators like a high average order value or a high margin. And in those cases, we may not have the data in terms of what keywords to target, but what we can do is set automatic bids. With automatic bids, we're telling Amazon to choose the keywords for us. And if we do an automatic bid with a very conservative, or automatic campaign with a conservative bid, then these products that have great metrics for AOV and for margins are going to show up only when they are being summoned, only when there's a long tail enough search that it fits a lot of criteria of match. If the manual one up here, we can actually be experimental. It doesn't need to be a specific search for this product. We may still want to push that product for more categorical searches. There are going to be products that have high volume, but their value per visit is not really there. Maybe the average order value is really low. Everyone sells products that are in the single-digit dollars. You may not want to promote that one through sponsored ads. If you are going to do manual, then you're going to do it in a way that is incredibly surgical and very optimized, lots of negative keywords, very controlled cost per click. And your products that have low volume of data and all other indicators, inferred indicators like average order value and margin, are poor. You pretty much want to set those at an extremely low bid for automatic, if you even want to do an automatic campaign. what we've been doing in the analysis, and the Amazon analysis that many of you just asked for, when we do the analysis for tiered bidding on sponsored ads, sometimes we'll set very loose parameters. We'll say, okay, what products have had at least 5 clicks and would be profitable if the cost per click was only 5 cents? These are the type of questions that we're throwing into the technology. It's using your data and coming back to us and saying 23% of products. Meaning the other, well, whatever, 77% of products would not even make money on a 5% bid. We need to know that up front. This informs our tiered bidding structure.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that tiered bidding structure is really important to take advantage of, and just like we do in Google AdWords, Google Shopping, we want to create economies of scale. So that it's extremely important to take advantage of those in Amazon, as well as with your campaign targeting. So when we talk about campaign targeting, there are several ways to target the campaign. But one, Nolan, I know that we've had some success with, and one that gives us actually a lot more visibility than what you might normally have in a traditional campaign, is doing like a 1 product per ad group setup.
Yeah, I mean, this kind of gets at what kind of some of the reporting limitations of Amazon. So we can pull a report and see over the last 60 days what are the search terms that have come in and what revenues come in kind of with those individual searches. So you can kind of see, oh, this is my most important word that I'm seeing a lot of conversions for, but what it wouldn't show you is which products. But there's a separate report where you can see which products haven't seen a sale. So you can maybe kind of infer some of those connections. Let's say you are selling outdoor basketball and you want to know, out of your 20 outdoor basketballs, what's the best one that I want to be showing for. This kind of structure allows you to really match that word of outdoor basketball with the one you care the most about. And that, so I mean, that makes sense in that case there. But it can also be ones where you're trying to prioritize which products are the most important ones that you kind of, either ones that you have a high buy box percentage for, or just kind of ones you maybe have extra inventory of. But again, I mean, going back to the main point of our big takeaway of our last one, which is sponsored products impacts your organic rankings. So if you're kind of going under that premise, you want to have the biggest influence over the products that you have the biggest buy box percentage win for. So maybe the initial first month of kind of pushing that product isn't as profitable, but if you can get that product that you have a 75% buy box win percentage for, and sure enough, that one's ranking up there, outranking that other product that you've been selling really well that only had a 25% buy box percentage for, 3 months down the road, that could be a more profitable endeavor to try to really push that product, get momentum for that product. So we're really trying to kind of rate each product and kind of, okay, if we have that momentum we want to have, which one's going to have the greatest benefit?
Yeah, absolutely. And that brings us to campaign optimization. So this is almost kind of why it's so important to have a great campaign structure and to be using these negatives and to have a very strategic approach with the types of campaigns you're using, automatic versus manual. Because as you can see here, we really don't have that many levers to pull from a pure optimizational standpoint. In the campaigns, you can increase or decrease the bids and budgets. You can add negative keywords. But what really makes the campaigns work and flow is the keyword match type additions, is that 1 product per ad group campaign structure, is the intelligent interplay of the manual and automatic campaigns. And that brings us to the next item here, number 6, of ways that you're losing sales on Amazon, and Nolan had alluded to this, is that you have the ability to A/B test your products to find the best product match for the right keyword on Amazon sponsored products. And most people don't do that. In fact, I don't think we've talked to anyone yet who has really done this. And we can see on the next slide here, we have an example of if you are selling light bulbs, for example, in your Amazon store. Some of your products might actually convert very well for the term light bulbs, but how are you going to know which products those are? You have to set up the campaigns in the correct way, and you have to be collecting search query data in a way that makes sense, so you can A/B test and kind of figure out which products you want to have showing for these very general but very high volume terms.
Yeah, and it also can be just what is your goal? Sometimes it's a new product, because you got to consider what Amazon's doing. They're showing the products that they've seen historical sales for, and yeah, so maybe the word light bulbs, they're going to show your top seller. That one's always been your top seller. but there's actually some other light bulbs that you really want to start kind of pushing in there. And that's probably never going to happen if you're relying on just a broad match or even the automatic campaigns. That it's never going to kind of give any daylight to that product that you want to push. So that's where it really comes down to. You'd have to kind of create this campaign where you add light bulbs either as a negative for the product that had been seeing all the clicks, or you go really aggressively on the new product there to kind of force it into the light there.
No pun intended. Pun intended.
Pun intended, I guess.
Yeah, so that's a way that we can actually direct traffic on Amazon, and we take similar tactics and techniques on Google Shopping as well. So that brings us to the second piece of the framework here. We have we started with the paid momentum, but now we want to talk about organic dominance. We have a couple of ways that we can achieve this organic dominance on Amazon. So I guess we have a poll here. I'm going to shoot it over to you, Nick, and talk about the keyword field.
I want to see if, for everyone who is actually selling in Amazon right now, you can go into any of your products and optimize these 5 keyword fields. What are you doing right now with them? I want to get a good sense of how people are using them. So you're filling 1,000 characters, at least one phrase in each of one field, not all 5 fields. Some automated rules like copying title or just nothing. It's helpful. Hopefully this helps all of you guys as well. Just get a good sense of what your peers are doing. So we'll close this out in 3, 2, 1. Right. So pretty clear here. 47% of you are using all 5 fields, but putting pretty much one phrase in each of those 5 fields. So if an average phrase is about 2 keywords, then you're roughly at 10 keywords across all 5 fields, which means you can increase by 120x in terms of words you can go after. And remember, these are organic listings. You're not paying extra to do that work. You do that work, and Amazon is going to reward you 120 times over. Some of you are starting to fill in the 1,000 characters, 12%. A good chunk of you are not doing anything right now, or don't know for sure what's going on. So this is something that you definitely want to get ahead of. The sooner you start to work on that, the sooner you get that organic boost. And again, that's free sales.
Yeah, so exactly, and that's the exact purpose of the keyword field. And we are telling Amazon that these are keywords that we believe are relevant to our listing that we would like to start showing up for organically. Now, I'm going to hand it over to Nolan because this is not a guarantee that you will start ranking for these keywords or that you'll rank highly, but it's just kind of you're telling Amazon that you want to be considered for these keywords.
Yeah, I mean, it's really kind of important to think of how this keyword field kind of plays into overall Amazon's algorithm. Again, using the example of the tabs. So yes, they're putting a lot of value in the title. That's the most value of the keywords to put there. But they're also heavily relying on sellers to be populating this field. And they're really just plucking out, okay, you've hit on 3 of these words. Now you're more relevant to this word. Or you hit on this one word there and you're selling a lot of it. Now you're coming in the results. So by populating this field pretty exhaustively, you really do open yourself up to a much broader universe of searches that you're now deemed relevant for. So I saw, I think it was like 47% were doing the one kind of one phrase per line there. So odds are there's a huge, big opportunity for you guys to kind of pull in different use cases of that product, bring up a competitor's product, see what words they're using. We'll get into the ways that we kind of go about trying to exhaustively go about it, but there's really no harm in getting closer to that 1,000 limit for each line now. It is something that's changed. It used to be 5 50-character fields, but in February they opened it up to about, I think it was 1,000 character field, and then it was shortly, less than probably a month later, it became 5 1,000 character fields. So kind of Amazon saw that, okay, we'll make it 1,000 characters now, and then it was doing really well, and I'm sure Amazon said, oh, we're selling more products than we were before, let's make it 5 times 1,000. So I think those that have kind of taken advantage of it have really opened themselves up to a lot more searches, and this just free traffic if you're kind of doing this in a way that's I don't know, if you have a strategy about kind of populating it, but we'll get to that in a second there.
Yep, and
yeah,
Sam,
exactly.
hopefully that answers it. So I was going to just go back to the questions real quick. Is that 1,000 characters per field or 200 characters per field? Hopefully that just created up. It's 5 different fields, 5 keyword fields. Each one has a 1,000 character limit. Combined for the average word is 4.1 characters, so combined you're talking about 1,200 words that you can populate between those 5 fields in total.
And we have a screenshot coming up in about 3 or 4 slides there too, so we'll show it in a second.
Yeah, but another thing to take into consideration here is that there are some pitfalls to populating this field, and you can't just put in whatever you want. One of the maybe less harmful things, but something that's still going to not benefit you at all, is putting in duplicate keywords into this field. So Amazon, we've talked about their algorithm a little bit throughout this presentation. They don't view the keywords as key phrases. They just view them kind of each in their own bubble. So you can switch around, mix and match. It doesn't matter. So you don't need to have duplicate keywords in this field. And in fact, they just take up space. Same thing with commas and punctuation. At the least harmful, they're taking up space and they're just not useful. Amazon doesn't recognize them. But at the most harmful, we have heard instances where commas can change the way that Amazon views the keywords. So if you have shoe tabs, comma, it might take a look at that second word, tabs, and think it's actually tabs, comma, and not give you the relevance for that word, not give you the organic visibility. And we find that if you do add keywords with commas after them, then Amazon is not even recognizing them when it's suggesting more keywords based on those. So it's something that you really do want to stay away from. We're going to tell you in a minute how to get into that keyword field and take a look for yourself as to whether you've kind of hit on some of these common pitfalls. The next one is not enough synonyms. So if we just go back one slide, Nick, just finish this up. Really quickly, there are a lot of synonyms for products that you're carrying, and you can be very exhaustive with this, and we'll get into in a minute how we go about doing this at Exclusive. But the biggest thing I think that people don't do is they don't really take a strategic, systematic approach to identify these keywords, and if needed, to actually prioritize them in a way that makes sense. Which does lead us to our kind of number 7 pitfall here of ways to lose sales, which is underpopulating that keyword field. So we just talked about how it's so important. You need to be doing it. You need to be doing it in a strategic way. So on the next slide, we have the screenshot that Nolan had alluded to. This is kind of an example of a poorly populated or underpopulated keyword field. And so Nolan, what are we seeing?
Yeah, I mean, this is a client. They had it was a rule-based one where they can kind of take the brand, kind of what category it filled in, and I think even the title was chopped up in there too, and there's a tagline, and they just threw it in there. But again, if you can I tried to highlight it there, but it's 1,000 characters maximum in length, and that's for each of the 5 lines there. So you can really, at this point, I mean, when you had only 5 fields and 50 characters, you had to really lead off with your best words and really pick those. But now you can be, like I said, the synonyms. You can create other use cases, find related products and kind of take out pieces of those that you've kind of noticed something about that they're mentioning a lot. We'll get into some of the tools in a second here, but there are lots of ways that we utilize tools available to us kind of from years of keyword optimization and kind of things we've done there that kind of we're pretty confident above what other people are doing to populate these fields.
Yeah, so that brings us to the 8th thing that we do see that people aren't doing is that they're not utilizing the available data that you could analyze and that you could prioritize and filter to populate these keyword fields. So we do this in several different ways at Exclusive Concepts. On the next slide here, you'll see that we are using several different data sources, the first of which being your Google AdWords campaigns, right? For many of you, if you have a traditional website, you've probably been running AdWords campaigns for quite a few years, and you have lots of great relevant keyword data, search term data built up. So that is definitely a treasure trove of keywords that we can use and prioritize based on past historical search volume and conversion rate data. So the next tool we use is BrightEdge. This is a tool that we started using on the SEO side of things. It's actually been a great tool for us on Amazon, where we can start to see all the different keywords that not only our clients' pages are ranking for, but we can type in competitor pages to see relevant keywords that they're ranking for and include those in our listings. It's just a lot of great information that, again, we can prioritize based on the search volume and the potential conversion rate. Another aspect is if you, again, have a traditional website, we can use your Google Analytics site search data. This is like exactly how people are searching for your products. It's a really good source to get lots of different search queries and variations. And then there are actually two more here. So if you are starting to run sponsored product campaigns within Amazon, these are going to give you actual search query reports that people, searches that people are typing in on Amazon, which you could not get if you're not doing sponsored products. So for a lot of people, this will be the first time that you actually get to see the search queries that are related to your products on Amazon. So yeah, another way that we've just started to kind of use and incorporate is utilizing reviews. So not only your own product reviews, but reviews for competitors' products as well, where people are maybe asking a question or saying something that they really like about the product. And we can incorporate all of those things into the keyword field. So all of this together really creates not only an exhaustive list, but a very relevant list that is prioritized based on all these key metrics that we're looking for: the search volume, the expected conversion rate, and most importantly, the revenue potential. And it also helps us on the paid side as well. So as we are putting all of these keywords into the back end of the listings, we can start to add extra relevance to them as we bid on them in Amazon sponsored ads. And in fact, you can't show up for certain keywords in Amazon sponsored products if you don't have them somewhere within the listing or somewhere within the keyword field on the back end. So just like Google, this is going to give us more relevance, more visibility. It's going to give us lower CPCs and more relevance, higher click-through rate, and higher conversion rate, and just kind of rise all ships there.
Okay, we're going to do this one right this time. Last time we talked about the program before we gave you details about how we do things a little different. Now we've just explained how we prefer to do optimization for Amazon. It's something that you guys can do on your own now that you've had a good sense of what you should be doing to procure your data, etc. But we could do this for you as well, because really, who has the time? Our service is $3.99 per month for Amazon SEO. We'll optimize 20 products per month. We'll choose those products based on our technology that helps us identify sales velocity and value per visit. So we're only focusing on products that deserve to be written, where we have a really good probability of making profit from that optimization. We'll show you how that works in our technology. Research keywords versus via AdWords, Analytics, BrightEdge, and even the search query report from sponsored ads. We'll filter and organize those keywords to make sure we prevent any errors or penalties. There's a slight but existing probability that if you take a product and you optimize it for a brand that is not that product's brand, then you could be flagged and suspended from Amazon. So if you do crazy automation for your keyword population and no one is taking a look at it, and you're putting that out there, you could potentially be faced with some penalties. But we optimize as close to all 5,000 characters per product as possible. And we're going to do a poll. And again, this is a way for you to get an expedited meeting with us or to actually get a proposal. It's a $3.99 a month service. Start getting some free SEO boosts on Amazon. Okay, we'll give it another 3, 2, 1. Thank you, folks, and I'll reach out to you based on the ready for proposal at almost there. We'll set up meetings accordingly.
All right, awesome, Nick. So that brings us to the very last component here, and we're going to try to breeze through this section because we have a little bit of time left. But so the third part of the approach is the improved conversion rates. So after we are driving lots of paid traffic, we are improving the organic results, we want to start to focus on conversion rate. And that comes from focusing on product copy. And the reason why we want to do this is because it's actually one of the only elements you can really control on the page to drive higher conversion rates. You think about like a traditional website, you could maybe change the navigation around, change the free shipping offer, change the trust messaging, and create some new badges. But on Amazon, you have fewer levers to pull, so that's why product copy is very important to optimize. And so here we have an example of poor product copy. And product copy really has three elements. We have the title up top, we have the features or bullets in the middle here, and then we have the product description. So as Nolan had said, the title is the most important in terms of getting your really relevant keywords in there for the product. Here we have a relatively short title. There's no color here. There's not a lot of other descriptors besides there's a tree, or an American Eastern redbud tree. You can see below that they're only using 2 bullets when in reality they have access to 5 bullets with quite a few more characters than they're using here. And so we had alluded to in the beginning that this is the area that you want to tout your value props. You want to include positive things people have said in reviews. You want to forge that emotional connection. You want to tell people what's included and what, if there's a warranty or any kind of trust messaging you can include here. So then lastly, the description. This is where you can start to really add more information about the product to provide the searcher, the person that's on this page, with what they might need, answer all their questions so they have no doubt that they want to convert and that they want to buy this product. So that brings us to our next, and we're almost there. This is number 9. The way that you lose sales on Amazon is you're not including pertinent search terms in the item titles. So this is vitally important. On the next slide, we have an example of some really crisp product copy that our content team has written here. This is a client that sells speakers, and specifically outdoor speakers. So you can see here that this title is much more robust. It has the type of speaker, where it can be used on the patio. It has the model number. It tells you how big the speaker is, how many watts it is, the color. So we have all of these great descriptors here that are going to be really good for showing or giving us more organic visibility for when people are searching for this product. And we also have some great bullets here. We see some nice crisp value props right here. They're very easy to read. And so we have the value proposition and how that value proposition is achieved. So we're using much more of the characters here, and it's very readable, and it kind of really jumps off the page and tells you exactly why you should buy these speakers. And so that is basically number 10, is that you're not, most people aren't including the most helpful content they can in these bullets and features. They're not taking advantage of the character limits. They're not driving that emotional connection. They're not showing you all the value props and how they're achieved. They're just not doing a great job of that. And that's your product content is one of the biggest things that people are going to use when they're on the page to decide whether or not they want to buy your product.
Yeah, I mean, when you're optimizing this content, obviously the main intention is to kind of highlight the reason to buy. You want to be a good salesman with these products, but there also is this SEO component too. The title is obviously, it's really clear where that one comes in there, but it's kind of a debate of what goes in there next. Is it the keyword field in the back end, or is it the bullets in terms of which one has the most value in terms of putting keywords and kind of getting that relevancy checkbox? But if you can naturally do both, where you kind of incorporate an important word into the bullets, we definitely take that opportunity to do so. I'm not saying to stuff keywords into the bullets. Once again, the main purpose is to sell the product, kind of highlight the key features of why you should buy the product. But if you can do so while also slotting in some keywords in there, you should take advantage.
Totally agree. And then here is the description of that product, that same product that our copywriters have created. You can see the description of the redbud tree. It was all kind of one big block of text. It was descriptive at points, but it wasn't easy to read and probably something that people would just glaze over. Here we're using basic HTML to kind of break this up a little bit. We're telling people what's in the box. all the technical specifications, and then we're talking about the warranty and how it's manufactured. So there's a lot of great info here, and you would think that this is all the info that someone might need to go ahead and pull the trigger on buying this product.
And so we've talked a lot about it, and that Amazon is using sales velocity as the main kind of indicator. Was this visit, we directed one of our shoppers to this page, was it worth our time to send it to them? So yes, they're going to go off the sales, the main indicator there, but they're also doing they're reading other things too. If the time on the site is really poor, if you've given no content there to be read, if the pictures are only one picture there, if how many reviews they end up looking through eventually at that point, but these things you can control right off the gate is to have good copy, have good bullets, Amazon is literally telling where the mouse is going. So if they're on your page for 10 seconds and their mouse didn't go anywhere except to the go back button, they're probably going to be dropping in rankings from that too. Not necessarily directly tied to sales, but they're going off everything when they're making a decision of which product should be above another one.
Yeah, and
so
to add to that,
go ahead,
I was going to add to that, clarity and veracity are really important with your copy. If you're clearly telling people what they're going to get, then your return rate is going to drop, theoretically. And return rate is also an indicator for organic ranking.
Yeah, no, Amazon's measuring everything. If they have it, they're measuring it. And if you're doing if you're creating a good product that does a good job of kind of speaking to what it does and who would want it, why they'd want it, they're going to see benefits from that. Because ultimately, the plan isn't to sell 5 more products over the next 5 months. It's to sell 500 products a week over the next 10, 20 years. So it is really, have a good product, you have to do a really good job of kind of explaining why you have a good product, and then the rest of the pieces there will fall into place.
All right, we're going to wrap this up really quickly, guys. For this conversion boosting premium copy where we rewrite the title tag, we do the research on the reviews and the value propositions, rewrite the bullets at the top to be much more compelling, to be good salesmen on behalf of your products, as Nolan put it, to rewrite the description at the bottom and make sure that we're very clear on what people are buying and all the aspects of the technical side that they need to be reading. So we would rewrite content for 20 products per month for $4.99 per month. We choose the products based on high volume, right? We want the highly trafficked products because we're going to get a 10% conversion boost. We want a lot of traffic. We also want to be going after products that have a high win percentage. You don't want to be doing this work for someone else to own the buy box on necessarily. So our technology would help us choose what products fit that properly. We'll research value props, reviews, emotional aspects, create high quality above the fold content. Those are the bullets. Create deep technical below the fold content. That's the description, and rewrite the title as well. So really quickly, last poll here. Before we get into reporting for a second, I'm going to just put this out here. How strong would you like to have us help you with your product copy for your business at $4.99 per month? That's tackling 20 products, just the most important 20 products that you have per month.
And the tool that Nick and I have created in terms of kind of grading which products are the best fit, it does a really good job of picking that. But there can be this back and forth we have where if you have a great Father's Day product and you want to have good content for it, there can be that human interaction too. But we do a really good job of here's our suggestion and here's why we think they're a good product. But we have a really good kind of back and forth with our clients in terms of which products should be content built out for.
Also, I'm going to close it in 3, 2, 1, and folks I will reach out based on that. Final section that we wanted to touch on, we felt like we wanted to touch on this a little bit more than our last presentation is reporting.
Yep, absolutely. So we'll breeze through this, but it is really important because most people who are running sponsored products, they're doing reporting based on the sponsored product ad campaigns, which it's good to look at. You want to look at what your ACoS is, your ad cost of sale, and you want to look at the margin data of your products to make sure that you are in the black and that you're creating a positive return. But what people don't really look at, and what they have even more trouble reporting on, is the holistic effect that sponsored products has on your overall sales on Amazon. And that's something that we have solved here with this report. So we have given the ability to show the organic lift that you achieve from sponsored products. So it's not just showing you the dollars in and dollars out of sponsored ads, but we are showing you this kind of holistic lift that all of our clients see when they run sponsored products. And it's really a kind of a next level type of reporting that I don't really think is out there right now.
Yeah, I mean, the main reporting you're getting is that ACoS, advertising cost of sale. So it's, if you spent $10 on sponsored products and you sold $100 worth of product directly from those clicks, it was a 10% ACoS. But what's not being accounted there is, okay, that $100 in sales, maybe those 3 orders. What you did is you spiked your sales velocity, and you probably ranked higher, and from ranking higher, you had some organic lift. And we're really trying to quantify what that organic lift is. So in that instance, we saw that there was three additional sales. Maybe you had been selling 10 sales a week, and now you suddenly had 15 organic sales. There's a total of 18 sales. So we could see that, hey, there was actually this organic lift that was provided too. We're trying to best quantify that, because I think if you go over advertising cost of sale only as your only metric, you're only looking at on sponsored products, I mean, you're really missing the bigger part of the picture, which is this the long-term play of being the dominant ranking product in your space.
Absolutely. And that brings us to even higher level of reporting that we have, which is premium reporting. So this is really cool. This starts to get into the really cool competitive stuff. So if you are a merchant who private labels your products, then this first report is going to be really useful for you. It's a competitive intelligence report for 200 of your products a month, where we map them to very similar competitors in your space. So there are a lot of dynamic repricing tools out there, but they're really only for same ASIN sellers or same SKU sellers. And if you have your own products, then you're going to have a much harder time really drawing the comparisons between your products and your competitors' products on a consistent basis. So this report is actually going to show you who else is in the market and how they're priced. Now, if you are a reseller and you are, this type of report is not going to be useful for you, well, then we do have a dynamic repricing feature as well that will reprice up to 5,000 products per month on Amazon based on parameters that you set and that we can help you set to help you win the buy box more often. And then the last piece of this is a really cool report that we've created. It's an FBA, Fulfillment by Amazon analysis report. And what we can do is we can tell you which products it makes sense for you to send to Amazon to have them fulfilled. Now, it doesn't always make sense to send every product to Amazon. We all love to have that Amazon Prime badge on our product, and we know the conversion rate at least doubles when you have that badge. But sometimes you're not going to break even. Sometimes you might have a product that's very expensive to ship to Amazon, or it's very fragile, it can break, or your cost of fulfillment might actually be very low. So we are able to weigh all of those different variables, and we have this calculator that has dozens of variables that we input and that we take into account. We take into account your cost to fulfill versus what it would cost to send to Amazon. We take into account projected conversion rate of the item if it does have that Prime Fulfilled badge. So this is a very sophisticated model that we can create and that we customize for every client. It's a super cool report, and it does tell you which kind of makes sense for you to send to Amazon to have them warehouse, have them kind of take that burden off of you for fulfillment.
So we'll go ahead and launch this last poll to be able to get us to reach out to you in terms of whether or not you want help with the dynamic competitive pricing, the FBA reports. Again, if you want to meet, we'll definitely meet. If anyone wants to proposal, that's simple as well.
There's another feature we've added too. It's not necessarily kind of one of these more advanced reports. I thought we were going to mention. We didn't have a slide about it, but we data mine the search queries that come into. By default, you're only getting 60 days worth of data, the last 60 days worth of search queries in there. So if you sign up for the sponsored products portion of the thing, we give a report that has your search queries for each month. And we have a way that you can kind of access that and own it. So when you're coming around for next Father's Day, okay, what was my search queries that happened leading up to Father's Day, things like that.
Yes, we do have these data warehousing capabilities as well as part of like the whole project. Cool. So that's the essential approach, everyone. We have the paid momentum, which we are getting from sponsored ads, getting that sales velocity, which is in turn giving us the organic dominance. And when we optimize the keyword field and give our products a chance to show for so many more searches, we can start to really see a huge increase in sales and visibility. And once we get all of those extra visits to the products from paid, from organic, we want to maximize the conversion rates with the product copy. We want to create this great, punchy product copy that really gives you the benefits, the value props, gives you all the information you need to have someone go through and make that purchase. And those are the three things that are really going to let you maximize sales on Amazon. They're the three things that you have the most control over, the three things that are really going to help you take that product from obscurity and rocket it towards the first page of results. That brings us to 11, which is not knowing which products fit into each of these techniques in a profitable way. And Nick, I know that you and Nolan have kind of built a tool to figure this out.
Yeah, I think this is a huge challenge, guys. Everyone wants to jump on top of certain strategies and techniques that will help them do a better job in Amazon, but they're just puzzled with all these questions in terms of, do I do this across the board? How am I really going to choose the right products? How am I going to take into account profitability, margins, everything? And that's why we built our technology, because we want people to be able to get a jump start on all these different techniques, do sponsored ads, but only for the right products that we can estimate in advance that you're going to make a profit on. Do organic SEO, but be slow on it. You don't need to do this in a hyper speed. You just 20 products per month, do it the right way with all the deep research, and only focus on the products where that $20 investment will easily be made up by gross revenue. So that is something that we help calculate very specifically, which products are a fit. How many products? If we can tell you that there's at least 60 products and we're going to put you in for 3 months at 20 products per month, done. We know what to do with our next steps. You don't need to worry about anything. And the same thing for writing this conversion boosting content. You don't go in and optimize everyone else's content. You don't go and optimize content for pages where you're not winning the buy box or where you don't have enough traffic. That would be an excessive use of your investment. It should be a very precise use of your investment, only where that boost is really warranted. So again, we're going to tell you how many products, which products, and we'll be able to focus on that as next steps. So all you have to do is type in free Amazon analysis into that questions box. And we're going to do this analysis for you using your own data from the back end of Amazon, your historical sales data. We're going to find out when you buy the box, win the buy box, how often you convert, etc. And it all starts to lead into a series of next steps. So looking forward to doing that with a lot of different people. And that closes out the session. Let's quickly take a look at some questions that may have not been answered yet. Okay. Do we separate keywords by commas, etc.? We specified it's by spaces. At this point, the question was asked before we specified. If you match your listing to a current and existing ASIN, how do you optimize relevant keywords for organic visibility? How do you optimize relevant keywords for organic visibility or for your sponsored product ads? Sorry, Rebecca, can you clarify what you mean in your question? If you just I'm not sure what the ORs refer to, and then we'll get back to that. Can you show us an example? I think that was in response to showing what the keyword fields look like, so we did show that. Sam asked a question, then he said, yes, there's my answers. You guys are on the ball. What are platinum keywords? It is something that Gene asked. I think maybe, no. Yeah.
Yeah, I can hop in there. I mean, being a platinum seller, the field is there, but you have to be invited to be a platinum seller. I think certain thresholds. I'm not entirely kind of what the thresholds are, but at this point, with the expanded search query, the search term fields that have happened over the past 3 months here now, There's really not as much of a need for them. I haven't done any kind of before and after of a few sellers that are the platinum level there of how that field has been impacted, but it's not something really you probably should be worried about.
Yep, and we have the next question. For product bullet points, is it better to be short, sweet, precise, or should we fill in max characters with as much information as possible?
Again, I think the priority is to sell the product well. So you don't want to water it down by just being superfluous in kind of which words you're adding there. But if there is this chance to kind of put in a keyword in there too and still be really impactful about, somebody said, what's 5 reasons to buy this product? That really should be the main objectives about writing those bullets. But again, if you can incorporate it, you should do so. So kind of a little bit of both there.
Yep. So someone says, someone told me that Amazon gives more weight to the words that are at the beginning of your product name versus the end. Do you know if this is true? So pajama is your most important keyword. You wouldn't want to say green satin long sleeve women's pajamas. You would want to say pajamas for women, green satin long sleeve. I'll weigh in really quickly because this is a well-known search algorithm question that is applicable across all search engines. So this is called prominence. Anytime you have a particular element that is going to be analyzed for relevance, sometimes those same elements are being analyzed for prominence. And prominence is if the first word in a keyword string of 10 keywords is the word you're trying to go after, the prominence is calculated as 100%. So in your case here, pajamas for women, this is at 100%. This is at something like 70%, etc. This is at close to 0%. So I would say that everything that we've seen so far on the Amazon side, Amazon's algorithm is very reminiscent of Google's algorithm in the early 2000s. And in the early 2000s, all the way up till roughly 2008, 2010, prominence was a very important aspect of the algorithm. So with if Amazon has consulted with any SEO ever in terms of how to build their algorithm, they would absolutely have used prominence as a factor there. So it is likely to give you a slight boost.
Yeah,
do you guys have any other experience?
No, I definitely agree there. We've definitely given suggestions to clients. They often have their brand name being of a title to try to put, in most cases, something we'll test, but buy the brand at the end of it. So you kind of still, what is the product? And have that as whatever that kind of seed word, the most important keywords right there as early as you can. Again, same thing, you want to make the title make sense, but you want to definitely account for the order.
Yep. When you guys rewrite the descriptions for products, how do you go about making sure Amazon changes that description if there are multiple sellers selling the same item?
Yeah, so you have to have the content authority to be able to change that page, and a lot of resellers are not going to be able to do it. If you have a majority buy box win percentage and the content authority to change the content on the page, that's when it does make sense to write that. Or if you are a private label seller and there's no one else on the ASIN, then obviously you have full control of it.
I mean, Amazon does want to hear the suggestions, especially with the keyword field. They want to know what other words they think that this product is relevant to. Again, these are like kind of words to try out for. But they also look for those suggestions if the product images have changed, things like that. Those are cases where you do submit a suggestion to the way that the keyword that product would be should be appearing to the users, and sometimes they get taken, sometimes they don't. But yeah, again, the tool that we've created kind of scores the likelihood of you being able to impact that. And again, if you impact that, will that actually help you out, or will that help someone else out?
Okay, I've put 2 here that I'm hoping that we can get clarity on. Can you help create ASINs? And this is one that I read earlier, just if we can clarify that. But the next one up is, how do you actually add HTML to the product descriptions, or can you add HTML to the product descriptions rather?
Yep, so you can do basic HTML in the product descriptions. There are certain types of HTML that Amazon won't allow, but the really basic stuff, the paragraph breaks, you can put right in there. In terms of can we create an ASIN, I think the question is, do we have the ability to upload products? The answer is yes. We have a team of developers that can help expand your catalog and do it at a pretty high rate. So if you have several hundred or even several thousand products that you want to add to Amazon, we can do that for you in a cost-effective and timely manner.
Okay, so this one has been clarified. We don't create the listing that we match to. If I participate in sponsored ads and I do all the keyword research, will I only be helping our listing or other sellers on the listing?
Yeah, you'll probably be helping other sellers as well, but it's a kind of hopefully a tide that rises all ships, and we are talking about organic visibility here. So if you're selling a product, you want it to be showing up more often organically, whether you have a majority of the buy box win percentage or not. Even if you have a 20% buy box win percentage, if your sessions go from 1,000 sessions to 2,000 sessions, then you're getting more visibility on that page, and you're getting 20% of a much bigger pie. So while it does help everyone who's on the ASIN, it's going to help you as well.
Awesome. Okay, and finally, there's some text in my Platinum keywords that says cat series of numbers. What does this mean? I don't believe we are a Pro Platinum seller.
Yeah, I think Nolan said it's an invite-only thing.
It'll be there. It'll appear there, but it doesn't mean they'll actually account for it, is my understanding of it. I definitely have some sellers that are not Platinum. Some of my accounts I work with that are Platinum. That the Platinum seller fields are there, right sometimes even above the search query, I think. But they're not actually ones that they're going to put an extra weight into, is my understanding of that.
Cool. Thank you, guys. That seems to be the end of all the questions. Lots of people have asked for us to meet up with you and to do the analysis. We are going to be at IRCE next week, so I'll be booking meetings for tomorrow and for the week that we return from IRCE. Please be responsive when we reach out to you, and we definitely want to go ahead and schedule as many meetings with people that are really interested in doing this as possible. So thank you, folks. If you are going to IRCE, we'll see you there. We can't wait to see you. Other than that, thank you, and the recording will be live most likely by tomorrow, and we'll send out a blast about this most likely by Friday, just to let everyone know about it. And thank you. Have a wonderful day, Nolan. Thank you so much. Logan, thank you, sir. Folks, we'll be in touch. Bye, guys.
Thanks, Nick. Thank you, Nick. Thank you, everyone.